Oh, the owl's working.
A little chilly out today. But no snow.
It's gonna be better in a couple
No,
of
pull out, there's another woman
I
in your
knew
car,
that.
and your car there.
My brother,
Your,
Yeah.
the car like your car, your, whatever kind of car you, your little.
Oh, your neighbor has one
Yeah,
just
yeah,
like
I
you.
thought it was you, but it wasn't.
There are no trees.
There's three people in there. Is it burned down? No,
You went to the wrong end.
It does came in.
And,
Not the leaves, but little.
Barbara, okay.
And
Not-
What's his name? in 24, his mother.
It's not, it's not, yeah, you went the wrong end.
Oh, yeah, you ready for hot one?
You're later than one.
I don't think they.
Okay. Joan Sue just walked in too. We're just waiting for Tim to log on.
Oh, yeah, or.
Right.
Yeah, any other units
We're
more,
having trouble getting in.
implementing some of the factors.
Sue, would you like coffee? No, I would have something. So everyone had a nice Thanksgiving.
We had a nice Thanksgiving and yesterday. Was Monday. Emily, Rich and I went down to London to visit my new great grandbaby.
Oh, how nice.
And this is the tiniest little baby I've ever seen. He is 4 pounds, 11 ounces.
It's even smaller than my Diana.
You know, and the thing it is, and again, this goes back to my old fashioned ways. The baby is in the room constantly.
Yeah.
They don't take the baby to the nursery at night.
Yeah, not anymore.
You know, I don't go for this new stuff.
Oh, that's better. I can
And-
see everybody's faces.
The formula is right there. It's not even warmed up.
Wow. You don't even have to leave the bed now.
Stop coddling these kids, you know, come on.
They don't even send them
It's
home
still
with
ready for-
formula anymore or diapers.
That's it.
It's amazing.
Get them in, get them out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, they're still in because he's so tiny.
Yeah.
But
I think my diet is.
she's in because she
But
ended
there was.
She ended up
15.
having a C-section at 1:30 in the morning.
My diet.
So here's the resolution. I'm sorry. I didn't have it ready
Blue
ahead of time.
baby were able to.
After we approve the budget. Tim's gonna present the budget.
This was a blue baby because
the
of my
resolution.
first one. Didn't affect the second one.
If we
because
approve the budget.
what it is.
Hmm.
The third one, she just made it to come home yellow and
Yeah.
stuff, and now
It's gonna be the resolution. Oh, sorry.
Oh, very good.
and a gymnast, everything.
But it's
Now
just
nerd.
so completely different. I don't know if I like these new ways.
Anyone need a pen, a notepad, anything?
Not figured, right, yeah.
Sticky notes? Pastries?
Oh, thank you.
Did you say no to coffee? And I ignored you?
No, I'm all set. I had lunch a little while ago.
Hello?
Hello? Oh, there's
Hello?
Tim. Oh, I gotta turn you, Tim, so everybody can see you. Here's Tim.
Hi, Tim.
Yeah,
Can you see everyone? I
Yep.
said chopping off everyone's heads.
How's the weather down there?
It's cooler than normal, but it's better than up there.
Yeah, it was,
where are you located, Tim?
I'm in Melbourne, which is on the East Coast,
Yeah,
about
my-
halfway.
I have,
Go ahead.
yeah, I have a grandson up there. West Coast,
Put that in your face.
yeah,
he's on the East
he's
Coast.
the East End.
He's the East Coast, yes.
Yeah.
I'll turn. There's also sweet cream too.
And then.
No, it's fine. Nice dash.
Yeah, Tim was here, wasn't he?
Oh, it's a little bit.
Oh, go ahead, open it.
It's not worth the effort.
If you want it open, I'll open it.
Well, I'll just pick this cheap.
You
think I
too,
will.
huh?
Hey,
I
Tim,
did.
Hey, Jack.
I'm here.
No, if I did.
We're having coffee.
If I-
See,
Yeah.
If I
Matt thought you should have flown up because we're having coffee in Danish.
Yeah,
The pastries from the bakery,
I blew it.
custard cups and all. We're starting.
You're already south, or are you just?
Yeah, I left just before Halloween, so I've been here over a month.
That's early. Do you usually go that early, Tim?
No, but I ended up getting into a member guest golf tournament down here, so a friend of mine was flying down from Connecticut, so you know, it all worked out and, you know, glad to be here and missing that weather up there.
We've been lucky up until this week, right?
Yeah, it's been good.
You know, even this
Yeah.
week is not bad. Here we are at the end of November. Yeah, and it was maybe, what, 20 degrees this morning?
Yesterday.
You can't do better.
Yeah,
than
we
that.
did have some
Yeah.
stories,
Well,
yeah.
you can't by going south.
I know, right?
And the sun, you can't do better than that.
You ready? Everybody's got their coffee? Everybody's ready to go?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm calling the meeting to order.
We can turn him back. I don't know that Tim needs to see me.
Okay, so we stand for the pledge of allegiance, please.
Flags over there.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I practice one.
Getting better, getting better every time.
All right.
Yes.
Okay, Jason, you're up.
That quick, huh?
Yeah, you're
right. Practically skipping the hellos and everything. All right, we got this huge pack of papers here. As I typically like to do is I'm gonna get right to the big items. So we start on the last page. Just give the summary of the audit results. There's actually what it says there at the top.
The pages are stuck.
Very last
Killing.
page.
So did you go to the financial for the last page?
And this one?
No, this one.
Oh, summary.
one.
This one, back, very,
It's
very back.
labeled, it's labeled page 54.
I'm here. Oh, wait, is that, oh, you have the,
This is all I
the
got.
budget, okay. Oh, the audit, here, I'll give you, I'm gonna actually. I sent the audit over earlier last month, so everybody could look at
I
it.
didn't get the audit either, so.
Oh, do you need one too? Do you want me to hand it?
Fine, I'm
Over this.
total.
I've seen it.
I'm
Here, go ahead.
Last page on
Good
this.
morning.
Yep, last page. Joan, do you have your audit report?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so the final page,
We got one person.
yeah.
Okay, all right, we're good.
I think I have one more too.
I mean, nobody really needs to see it,
Yeah.
you know, you just listen to me talk, that's
Well,
all.
at least we
That
know what
was
you're
the-
talking
that
about.
was-
All right,
You got-
so again, summary of our results,
You
is
don't
basically
have it.
just,
Okay.
captures the results of our work and the opinions basically that we're required to issue. Here on the top is your financial statement, so it's an unmodified opinion, it's a clean opinion. It means they're basically what, everything's presented fairly. And then down the side there are no findings. So there are no reportable issues to tell you all about, or to tell you the regulatory sources or anything like that. Next section is similar. The next section is on the state awards. So not only do we issue an opinion on your financial statements, we also issue an opinion on compliance over both state and federal awards. This happens to be the state page. There's a federal page, a couple pages before. And again, here, there are no audit findings. So, again, there's really no concerns. There's no findings to kind of discuss and no audit issues that we feel, you know, merit your attention. So really what we'd like to get into is more metrics, understanding kind of what's going on financially in the organization. I usually point out a couple highlighted areas for either future concern ongoing industry type things. Because it's what I'm involved in and what I see every day. So, that's what we'll do. So I'm gonna jump back. If you'd like to follow on, that's fine. I'll jump around a little bit. But really, you could probably just take me for my word here. I swear you can trust me. Page 9. Is the income statement, statement of revenues, expenses, and changes in net position is the governmental term for it. It's the summary of all the money taken in for the year. So you got $5.6 million that you took in for the year, less everything spent out. And if we look in the center of that page, it's showing a bracketed number of $1 million. That's showing you're operating at a loss, $1 million loss. If we, for the moments, add back, or not even just the moment, 2 million is up to depreciation expense. I just want to kind of get it to more of a operational cash in, cash out number. Add that back, you're still at about a $200,000 loss. If we looked at, compare that to last year, your same number is about a $400,000 profit. So there's a huge swing down. That's almost $600,000. And we'll explain it, we'll go into that a little bit, and that'll be part of the topic of today's audit discussion. But as far as evaluating, so you've operated the year at about a $200,000 deficit. If we start looking at some of the reasons why, or some of the highlights, I'm gonna stick with revenue for now. Revenues are up a little bit, so inflationary increases. So it's still very good at maximizing revenues, which is basically keeping units occupied, making sure units leased at the housing choice voucher program, capturing the amount of rents you can kind of expect to generate. You know, you're kind of locked in, right? You can't necessarily generate whatever you want. In the future, you're gonna have the PVV aspect that Oak Terrace, so that will increase revenues to an
Yeah,
extent,
we've
right?
already
Once
seen
it's-
it, it's only been 2 months.
Right, so this doesn't
Yeah.
factor any of that in, right?
Yeah.
So you'll have an increase next year for the same occupancy, right? So what we say is that for the most part, all your best course of action is to keep yourself in the high 90s occupancy, right? To maximize what you can kind of take in as an organization. And you've been at, 97%, for the last 2 years. There is a slight bump at Oak Terrace this year.
Yeah,
Not a concerning one. You're still at like 96%. Again, for an elderly, 97 is really the goal. So a little bit below. But we're talking, in the scheme of things, you're talking $40,000 in revenue loss and vacancies out of max potential. So on $6 million, it's not a huge number, but it's still, we'll say $40,000, right? So that did contribute a little bit to the loss year on year because vacancies are a little bit more. But really the thing is expenses are up. They're really across the board. And the biggest ones here are things you can't control, honestly, is some of your benefits and pension that you as an organization have and are required to maintain. And we'll talk about a little bit more of that after we get through a couple more of the financial aspects, because it gets a little bit more in depth and I don't want to lose you or sway you. But we will come back to that. So expenses are up out of the 600 some odd thousand they're up, $500,000 of that is pension alone. Pension and OPEB, right? That's the other post-employment benefits that you offer your retirees. Those two items count for a huge amount of your increase. And unfortunately, those tend to fluctuate. You would expect that they wouldn't because of the way they do things, but they still do. So we will get into those a little bit and kind of what your risk is as a board and kind of what you can do as an organization, what your limitations are, etc. But as far as cost controls, right? That's physical cash out the door type of thing. There's still really strong controls there. You don't just pay for things type of thing. Obviously, utilities are a tough one because you can't kind of control that. Those are up. Insurance costs are up. We're living in the day of inflation, right? I mean,
Living in the society.
yeah, it's kind of the thing. You're not immune to it, right?
we've had
So-
workers' comp, insurance claims,
Yeah.
so it'll all go up again next year.
Yeah. So then we'll talk about the bigger ones that are a little harder to control, but more so you understand kind of the risk and really the the point of that. But I did, so we talked about a slight down year as far as money in, money out. I want to go back one page to page 8. Statement of net position, it's your balance sheet. It's as of December 31st, kind of where you stand. As an organizational health, I think you were back. Extra page. You're getting excited here. Okay. Page 8, and this is again, as an organization as a whole. Cash in and out is actually flat for the year. So that'll speak more, even more to my point of a lot of the costs that I'm talking about, overruns, are really these pension OPEB estimates that aren't really cash out the door. Right? They're a future liability type thing. They're on your books, they haven't been paid out type of thing. And we will talk more on that. You were still a little better on current ability to pay your bills. You're 5 times with the current ratio type thing. So you can pay your bills 5 times over. That's better than last year. So the current position, you're able, very healthy to pay your bills on time, etc. Typically, I always like to go down and see your reserves. It's hard to see for you as an organization, but the second number up from the bottom, this typically is a number of, after you pay off all your debts, what do you have left? And how does that translate to you as an organizational size? Fortunately, it's a bracketed number, 1.7 million. And that's gone up significantly. We're up $900,000 this year. I'm going to get back to the theme of OPEB and pension, but in order to illustrate that, I'm going to show you in the up, I don't know, 5 or 6 numbers. You'll see an OPEB liability, 3.4 million, and a net pension liability of 1.1 million. All the pension related stuff, increase of 2.5 million this year, which again is almost like laughable, because for the size of your organization, I don't even know how you conceptualize that as a board of saying, well, what does this really do to me? And that's why when we look at this and we see some of these big numbers, I want to kind of explain you off the cliff a little bit to at least kind of show, hey, organizationally and operationally, what does this really mean to me, right? And I guess we'll get into that now. So before we get into those talks, still on a means of carrying out operations and being fiscally solvent, being able to pay your bills, still very healthy. Actually, a slight improvement for the prior year, which, as I talk about all these doom and gloom numbers, is still a very positive thing, right? You have positive revenue, you're keeping units occupied, generating the revenue you should, which is no small feat because you need to market rents that people want to live in, right? So it doesn't necessarily happen by accident, right? And you need to keep, vouchers leased. So those things take work to do, and success doing that. Now, as far as these looming liabilities and things like that, there's pages and pages on this, but I'm going to get to the one schedules for those that are following along, page 26 and 27. Yeah, you got to it. Look at that.
I turned right away.
This actually gives you a little bit of trend.
That goes this way.
Basically, this is just showing the status of the pension over the last 9 years. And to summarize,
And you're good.
what's reported on your organization's operating results reflects the status of the pension plan itself.
I'll share with Sue.
The pension plan itself has really nothing to do with you individually as an organization. It factors in basically the return on investments that they're getting, just the overall health of the pension plan overall. And basically what they're saying is the pension plan is not as healthy. The risk to you as an organization is now they're going to start raising rates, right? You've already seen this in the last 2 years. Your out the door payments on this, and that's on page 27, have increased from 9 years ago of about $50,000 a year to last year was $117,000. So in 9 years, it's doubled, right? Now, if we talk about $117,000 on the size of your organization, is that going to, break your budget? Probably not, right? So if we kind of want to factor that into, look at a little smaller scale, the risk really is just where is this number going to go? The 117, right? Forget the $1 million I told you had that liability. You're never going to have to cut a check for that $1 million. it's more of an evaluation of that number. Based on the future risk, right? If that number gets bigger, you can expect to pay a little bit more in the future, type of thing. There's two options of that, right? They continually raise rates on you, or they change benefits. Or I guess the third one is they raise rates on the employees. So now we're seeing, just now, right? This is in 2023 mostly, is they're starting to raise rates on employees. So now employees have to now pay a bigger share. Because again, the client, the employer base has kind of pushed back and said, you guys have been raising rates like crazy on us. What are you doing with our money? So naturally, they've kind of flattened you guys for the last year or so and then stuck it on the employees. I don't know how that's fair, but I guess you get relief as an organization. I don't know, at the penalty of the workers themselves. And then benefit changes, right? And that's the huge thing, especially for those that aren't near retirement. That's the next step, right? And the state plan itself, which again, you guys are in the municipality, a separate plan that's not tied in with others. The state employees, they've gone through 3-4 iterations of tiered benefit changes. Again, to try to alleviate this risk, and their plan's even worse off. So again, this isn't necessarily a doom and gloom, but what does the really affect to you guys as a board? Is eventually those benefits are just going to continue to raise a little bit. And there's really, other than kind of negotiating out, which you really can't do on the pension side, you just got to somewhat deal with it, so to speak. But as far as the future, it seems like it's going to level a little bit at the detriment of the employees, unfortunately. And what we've actually seen some organizations do now is offer their own retirement plan, like a 401k alternative, basically, that allows employees to kind of,
Save money for.
save money on their own, right? And because of the risk of the benefits are kind of going away, especially those that are nearing, if they don't like retire within the next year, they kind of lose money, type of thing. That's the one thing. The next now, not to keep going into this, is what we call OPEB. And this one, what's different, and this is all on page 28. What's different between the OPEB and pension is OPEB is you're guaranteeing your retirees and your employees health insurance until they pass. Now, that's an actuarially defined huge liability to this organization that you can't defer or hope somebody else is going to take care of, like the pension. That's a little different. This is, well, I think the 3.4 million, which if you look is basically doubled in the last 4 years, is probably a little high because they're estimating that everybody's going to collect, etc. It's still a valid concern in my mind. And what I say by that is, if you look at the benefit payments, you've been paying pretty steady 75% or $75,000 a year in this benefit. It's jumped a lot in 2022. That's basically what that's telling me. What should be telling you all is your health insurance rates are going up a lot. And the reason for that is because you have a lot of retirees on there. And that retirees aren't being phased out by new employees. The new employees are actually duplicating retirees because the retirees are living longer. So now you have more people in the plan.
Yeah, true.
Right. So what others have done, and thankfully you guys have kind of already done this, is limit the risk, right? That newer employees can't necessarily get their spouses and dependents covered. You guys have the added fun benefit of having a collective bargaining plan or pool, right? Group. So you can't do whatever you want. You offer a benefit. You can't just pull it without negotiating that, right? So you kind of are stuck in this, but you do have some control. But the point is, this is really the first big year that this risk is looked a little bigger than in the past. But to the same extent, when I said you went from $50,000 in benefit payments on pension plan 9 years ago to $110,000, we're talking $130,000 for this. So it's a $250,000 cash out the door benefit every year. The OPEB one is the one that's really increased, even more significantly. So, and again, that goes back to health insurance rates, experience. It's going to have to be part of the budget. And I expect that as you start to discuss budget, et cetera,
Mhm.
that this health insurance
Yeah,
type
we're
of
doing negotiations right now. this
is a
month.
consideration, right?
Yeah,
Is
and
that,
actually, I'm surprised, but our premiums for 2024 are going down. And, I guess Joe Suma said he's seen that in a few shops. So
Well,
surprising.
yeah, a lot of them are experience rated plans that you're able to
Right.
get into that, again, if you don't have a ton of claims, and I think you've had 3 or 4 new employees in the recent years, that's gonna
Mhm.
bring your pool, stabilize it a little bit more.
Yeah.
Right? Where now you're, I think as of this plan, you're at 10 and 10.
Mhm.
The 10 employees plus 10 retirees, and whereas before it was like 7 and 10 and 8 and 10.
Yeah.
So you've kind of caught up where it's even, so to speak. So that should help experience amounts, right? That'll raise insurance rates or reduce insurance rates a little bit. But there's always that risk that, again, 50% of what you're paying on insurance is because you have all these retirees that you carry. And it's just really important to know that, and especially when you come to negotiations. And they're arguing that, well, I can't pay 20%, right? It's unfair because we used to pay 15 or 16 or whatever it is. That this benefit is known to them. I'm sure they know they get it.
Mhm.
It's a costly benefit. I mean, as long as
They
people
don't
understand
realize though.
Yeah.
the
that
employees
they
don't
get health
realize how much-
insurance forever.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
I mean, that's a huge, again, it's a huge underlying cost.
but how
of the
much we
organization.
pay for the benefits. you
Right.
know, our-
It's not even just that you're paying and
Mhm.
reimbursing for their benefits, it's that your policies increase.
Mhm.
Because they have to blend, right? They have to cover for the retirees. Because again, the experience levels, obviously they're gonna have more costs, et cetera. So the shares, if you didn't have those retirees, your premium would be less. Personally, than everybody else here. It's like the implicit factor. And how they price these deals, right? It's about.
Is this something should be brought up at negotiations?
Well,
or
I think it's something to know, right?
What
It's to
we
understand that, and if maybe even negotiate down. Now, I know you said you got rid of. No more dependents, I believe, last time out was no
Spouse.
more spouses,
Spouses,
after 2000.
2019, I think.
Okay,
Yeah,
19.
people's hired 2019 after.
So going forwards, that
Mhm.
does mitigate your risk a little bit, right? So maybe you end up saying, well, after you reach Medicare age, we only cover X for Medicare or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, that is what I've seen. Is that, you still cover them through Medicare,
Yeah.
right? And that's fair, right? Cause that gap, right, between retirement and Medicare is a huge problem for those that might need to retire. They either have to stay on because they can't afford health insurance, right? And they have to wait till Medicare. I mean, this is just real life talk, right? So perhaps knowing that they're not gonna get covered for, or whatever. I mean, I
Yeah.
guess it's part of the discussions, right? The give and
Right.
take. And knowing that, hey, this in the last 2 years has really had a tangible impact. On the cost to run this organization, that at least it's on your side,
Mhm.
saying, hey, things have doubled. Right? I mean, we all have to pay our fair share type of thing.
Mhm.
And I think you took the good first step of limiting that,
Mhm.
right? And honestly, a lot have said, well, going forwards, even they kind of get rid of the benefit overall and they call it a closed pool. And they stop. I'm not suggesting that.
Yeah,
I'm saying you have the ability to do that barring negotiation proceedings.
Mhm.
Whereas the pension's the pension. You can't decide to
We have
not offer
no-
pension
yeah.
anymore.
We have no
You're
say.
in it, right? Unless you want to pay a huge actuarial liability to get out. It's just not feasible to do that, nor would you want to say, sorry, guys, you don't get a pension anymore.
that wouldn't be good.
So.
That wouldn't be good
the
for business.
OPEB looks better, but looks worse, but it is more under your control. You could close the pool, you can change benefit type things, but as of now, it's just an effect of the market, right?
Mhm.
That, like anything, health insurance is not immune to inflationary factors. You're lucky that you've had kind of stable rates. You
Mhm.
can't really predict that. This is gonna assume, right? It's done by an actuary, that rates are gonna continue to go up. And every year you don't have that is to the benefit.
Mhm.
Meaning like next year, maybe that 3.4 will be down to 3 million, because again, you would think it wouldn't go crazy, but. You know, they're supposed to smooth this, so
Mhm.
you don't see the ups and downs, cause that's the problem, right? Is that I'm here telling you. Hey, you had a $500,000 loss that I can't quantify to you guys. It's not like I can say you guys just spent. Out of your paychecks or out of your checkbook, $500,000 more in money, that didn't happen. But your books say that. So when you give this to a bank or you give this to anyone else, it doesn't really make sense to those that don't understand accounting, and it probably doesn't make sense happy here, even with me trying to explain it.
It
Point
helps though, you
being-
explaining it. helps a
Point
lot.
being, a lot of the stuff you can't control. And as far as the risks to the organization, they're pretty minimal. Just on the size of them. I mean, they're not good things. I'd be more concerned with, can I keep my units full? Right, can I keep the policies that we have in place for insurance and health and stuff like that? Not necessarily these riders or these other benefits. So I did want to mention that usually I glaze over that because again, it's a little bit. You know, outside the box talking,
Mhm.
it's just the numbers. Got a little bigger this year and had a bigger effect. So otherwise, you have great reserve on HCV. It's full utilized. We have no problems. You have very good files. You run the programs very well. And you know, as a board, that's all you can really hope and expect. You know, you keep your units occupied and you do things that you're supposed to be doing. So I have no issues or things to report on that nature. And that's it for all these pages. I wasn't gonna get into any other things unless somebody is really that interested.
Oh, the page right there.
I know, Joan, you're still with us? Joan,
You fell asleep.
Joan? Joan? Joan?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure, if you had any questions for
No,
Jason.
I had a question on the benefits. He said that the benefit payment went up. Is that, how many employees is that, is it one or two employees, the benefit?
Well, it's spread among all the employees. So
What?
it's spread amongst all the employees. So I anticipate that the newer employees will probably bring next year's benefits down a little bit because you've had them there. So really, the newer employees are actually probably better off for you in the short term.
Mhm.
Does that make sense? Does that answer your question?
Yes, I was just thinking about the benefits, like people that are out.
Well, I will say the payments for the retirees that you pay on them has increased. So if we're talking money out the door, yeah, you've had to reimburse them more than you have in recent years, because they're, you know. Medicare's premiums have gone up, right? And you pay 100% of them. So you have to pay those, right?
Mhm.
And that's small in the scheme of things, because the insurance policy itself is 10 times that of Medicare, maybe not 10
Mhm.
times, but it's significantly larger. Which is, again, is why people, well, whatever, say, you know, let's worry about getting into Medicare type thing. But,
Okay,
yeah.
thank you.
Anything else, Joan?
No, that's it.
So again, all in all, there's no real issues to report. I just wanted to make sure I was able to kind of explain, me saying, hey, things are good.
Mhm.
And then somebody else saying, well, looks like you can't pay your bills. And that's really not the case.
And it's tough with the vacancies. I know, Joan, you heard him say, you know, the vacancies were up once again. And that's hard to control, especially with evictions or elderly people that go into long-term care. And then we're stuck because we can't do anything until sometimes they're in a rehab for 2-3 months and they're supposed to be coming back. And then all of a sudden the family decides, you know, they can't come back, and they sometimes do, sometimes don't pay us the rent. And I have one apartment at Hut that's been vacant for almost 6 months. And we have to do an eviction on it because the tenant would not release the items in the apartment or return the keys. So,
And Congress really tough too.
Yeah.
when you have
and we
those.
need the money there because there's
Yeah.
only 36 units, so it
Right.
really impacts us.
Yeah, it does. That's.
So it's very difficult. So,
It's almost like you
It's
can't
kind
do
of, I understand, I'm living with monstrosity. Yeah, but I can't give it up, you know?
We can find you some renters, they can move in with you.
yeah, we need section 8 units
Get some
bad.
Section 8 units.
She's got a 4-bedroom house.
Look, I have a brand new
EBV.
house
Yeah.
next up to my daughter. They call it my house. Have the people,
Alright,
like, how can they?
Turn it
live
into an inn,
places
charge them rent.
Where I lived for 60
any more
some odd
questions for
years.
Jason? Good. Alright.
All right, great.
Stay
Well, that
for
went
10.
well.
I'll stay for Tim.
Let's go on
I don't
out.
get to hear Tim that often.
Oh, see here.
So let's put 10.
Awesome.
Like,
All right,
Alright, Tim.
all right, everybody hear me okay?
Perfectly.
Joan,
Okay.
can you hear Tim? Joan,
All
can you
right.
hear Tim? Okay, great.
So the budget worksheets are set up very similar to prior years. We've got the consolidated budget worksheets, we've got notes to the budget line items, we've got individual budgets for each one of your programs, followed by the support schedules. So what I'd like to do is start on page 1. That's a consolidated budget worksheet. And first of all, your attention in the revenue section. Your revenues are made up of 4 main categories. That would be your dwelling rental income, your federal and state grants, the admin fees earned for the HCV program, and your operating subsidies. All told, projecting your revenue to increase just over 7% for 2024 versus the current year. So that's a positive. Moving down into the expense section, administrative salaries, those are based on the current hourly rates for each one of your employees. Because there is not a collective bargaining agreement that is accepted yet for 2024 and beyond, I included a 3% cost of living adjustment on top of the current wages. The compensated absences, which are the accrued time away, the vacation and sick that your employees earn, is set at 4%. That has an inverse relationship with your wages. So at the end of the year, you know, if compensated absences goes up, wages come down, and vice versa. So those two work together. The rest of those costs in that first section under expenses, your legal expense, your training, your travel, your fee accounting, your audit expense, other office expenses, those are all based on a 9-month pro forma using actuals through September 30th, 2023, and making those a full 12 months to come up with the numbers in those categories. Coming down a little bit more, resident service salaries, there is none. Your resident service other, the $2,040 for the federal program, that's based on just a small nominal amount, $15 per unit. The state elderly, $38,000 for resident services. That is the amount of your resident service grant that you get from the Department of Housing. And the $468,000 for the state congregate program. Those are the expenses that tie directly back and are offset by your core subsidy and your expanded core subsidy that you receive from Department of Housing, plus the tenant portion that the tenants pay for the core services that they are given. Next section, the maintenance section, maintenance labor, as with the admin salaries, increase that number by 3%. Those wages again are based on the current wages for each one of your maintenance employees. Compensated absences is set at 4% of your maintenance wages. The maintenance materials and maintenance contracts based on, again, pro formas using 9-month actuals for September 30th. Those numbers were massaged a little bit based on conversations, telephone or email that I had with Chris about what the needs might be for next year. Next section, your insurances based on actual declaration pages for each one of your policies that we have now. The pilot is a payment in lieu of taxes. That's the 10% of shelter rent that goes to the borough of Naugatuck. Your employee benefits, that includes also includes taxes. So your Social Security and Medicare taxes that they pay. So the 7.65%. Your health insurance, your dental and vision coverage, the municipal employee retirement system fund, which is your pension, the life insurance, accidental death and dismemberment, et cetera, et cetera. Protective services, based on, again, a nine-month pro forma using actuals through September 30th. So if we go to page 2 now, at the top of page 2, you'll see a provision for RM&R, that's repairs, maintenance, and replacements. For the congregate program, any difference between the actual revenue and actual expenses that we anticipate, I threw into the provision for RM&R. For the state elderly, the $120,977, that's actually tied to the provision that the state told the agency it should have for 2024 based on a capital needs assessment that was completed in 2013. Your utilities are based on current year actuals. I increased those by 2%, just as, you know, just to give ourselves a little bit of fluff. The next section, which is your non-routine expenses, your debt service, the numbers that you see there for state elderly and congregate, that's just the interest, that is not the principal. That's just the presentation purposes. That's how I presented the budget over the last couple of years. So interest only. The principal is booked as liabilities on the books in your software. So it is covered, but the actual debt principal payments are not shown in this line item. The replacement of equipment and betterments and additions, those two line items are based on conversations I had with Chris and deal with things such as new gutters, new roofing, power washing the buildings, vehicles, trailers, lawnmowers, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And you'll see underneath those two line items, under replacement of equipment and betterments and additions, there's a line that says contra. Because the replacement of equipment and betterments and additions are considered capital items, they will be capitalized or recorded on the balance sheet as assets. So for an operating budget, the contra essentially takes away those replacement of equipment and betterment and addition numbers. It also takes away the depreciation number, which is right below the contra, because again, not a true cash operating expense. And we're trying to get to an actual operating budget. So the contra will be the total of depreciation, replacement and equipment, and betterments and additions. All told, projecting a $257,000 net income for 2024, which is up significantly over the 2023 or current year's net income projection of $95,000. Again, going back to the first page, that's because we have an increase of 7% in income. And in terms of operating expenses, we only have a 3% increase for operating expenses. So all told, looks like at least the projections or our estimate or our plan or our best guess shows that we will do better next year than we will do or are doing for the current year. As I said, the next two pages after the consolidated budget are your notes. Then you have your individual budgets, then your support schedules, which are deal with the salaries and the sundry items or the office items, your maintenance materials, maintenance contracts, your insurances, your benefits, those sorts of things. So all told, I think it's a pretty good budget. There are quite a few replacement of equipment and betterment and addition items in there. Hopefully cash is available to cover all of those pieces of equipment or betterments. And I guess that's really it, unless there are any questions.
I have a question. Did you hear
Go
me?
ahead. Yes, Commissioner Taft, I got you.
I have a few questions then. First of all, I wanted to know, the $10,000 that Christie has that gives out, you know, for that, the bonuses. Are they given out to the same people every year, or how does that work now?
That fluctuates, Joan, based upon performance. So it's for exemplary performance, because basically we're not allowed to give merit wages. Everybody gets what is within the bargaining contract. So enabled me to reward people that go above and beyond. So some people might get, somebody might get 1,000, other people might get $200.
Okay, but the same ones get it, right?
I've kind of changed it around, but typically maintenance gets more of it than office staff, because they're the ones that are dealing with, it depends upon the current projects that are going on, like.
I was
whenever-
just wondering if the office people get anything or.
Oh,
just
yes, the office people do,
what they
because
do.
like, you know, sometimes work fluctuates, and different projects that we take on will increase someone's workload temporarily. So it'll give me the opportunity to give them a bonus, things like that.
Okay, now the next thing I wanted to ask Tim, the maintenance contracts. Senator, let's see. The program increased by 20,000. That's for grounding on the buildings. 10,000 was nicotine cleaning. And I'm wondering about that. I questioned that before about the nicotine cleaning. It costs us so much, and the people aren't supposed to smoke in their building. So is there anything we can do to try to, you know, is it, if they smoke, should we charge them something for cleaning?
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
ideally, we can charge them as much as we want. I already talked to the attorney about it. But it depends on proving it, because as I explained, that the regulations came out back in 2015, and that's when we added it into our lease. But some people were here prior to that. So when you go into their apartment and there's nicotine, they could say, well, you know, I don't smoke in here now, unless you actually catch them, you know, and then it's difficult. But some people, you walk in their apartment, you can tell, okay, you've been smoking in here, and charge them $250. And basically that's a fee that we can use towards the nicotine cleaning, because we know when they move out, we're gonna have to do that.
Hey, Chris, also, I just, you know, to continue your point, we talked a little bit about implementing security deposits as a means to actually have the money up front to, you know, in the event that there was nicotine cleaning that needed to be done, you would have the money to cover that before refunding the security deposit upon termination of the lease.
I think that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we spoke of that a couple months ago, so I now have to do the verbiage and approach the board. We'd have to make a vote on that. But we are allowed to charge security deposits there. I think it's only, is it 1 month it's limited? We're limited to 1 month. So, but I have to talk probably to Jason and Tim and see if it's base rent or if it's their actual rent.
Actual rent can be. It can be.
And
actual rent.
also, on the same line there on page 4, we had to spend $20,000 for rehab, 2 for the vacancies. I don't know how much, I know you have some people, they don't take care of their apartments. They probably have to, you know, clean them better or something. I don't know what we could do to bring, you know, make them pay for damages or what, you know.
It's
Whatever.
really difficult when an elderly person or a disabled person leaves, because either they're going into long-term care or they pass away. If they're elderly or disabled, they move on. But the problem is collecting the money from them. I mean, you can't attach somebody's social security legally, and
Yeah.
they don't have the money, you know, and suing them, I mean, it's probably not worth the legal effort that you would pay to take them to court. That's where we're in a difficult situation because of the population that we serve.
I know.
But the
it's tough.
security deposit would help, I mean, granted, it's gonna be more of an
Yeah, I think
administrative
that's-
burden.
Yeah.
Well, it's an
that's-
administrative burden because you still have to pay interest on those accounts.
Mhm.
And you do have to return them when people leave.
Hmm.
But, you know, a lot of people probably wouldn't ask for them. Or we do an inspection, determine that they've been smoking in there. And then we can keep in most cases, the rent is $200. So it'll be $200 we'll have
No, something- something.
that we can absorb
No.
towards that.
Also, in terms of vacancy, if you have a lot of tenants that could be there 10, 15, 20 years, and after living there, just basic wear and tear, updates are going to be needed. And so once they do go, whether that's through eviction or some other means, the unit does need to be refurbished. So, you're always going to have vacancy rehab costs, whether it's because the tenant actually smoked or did something egregious versus, just your normal wear and tear.
In their 25 years, yeah, it's
And
just.
that's 10, 15 years of rental income as well. So I mean, that
Yeah.
goes with the
Yep.
part of the game. I know nicotine bothers you, John, I know. If everybody followed the rules, we'd have no problems.
Okay, thank
Okay,
you.
all right. Any other questions for Tim? We got a lot of things we gotta work on up at Oak Terrace,
Yeah.
I'm turning 66 on Sunday, and I used to trick or treat in those units, so they've been there quite a long time. We're trying to get a lot of that stuff done there, so
Little by little.
as long as we can get that done.
And we can actually probably increase the number of Tim and I are in talks with John right now to see if we can increase the project-based vouchers at Oak Terrace. Because we did promise vouchers to Penrose for the new building they're building over here, supposedly, but their plan was not they didn't get their grant funding.
Oh,
So now they're gonna reapply this year, which means construction probably won't start till 2025 or
Okay.
26. It was anticipated construction 2025. We're probably looking at 26 now if they get funding this year. So those vouchers, I can still
we can
use those.
We can pull those back.
Yeah. Well, I can use them here,
Cumberland,
for,
Department by Cumberland.
across from the firehouse there, they're gonna build.
I don't know, they got them in Cumberland, we got.
No, that's something different.
Yeah, they're proposing a lot here.
Well, that'd be good. That's,
And then if we use those at Oak Terrace, because we do get much more rental income because it's through the Section 8 program, it's a higher rent
okay,
than what we're charging.
all right,
So we get more subsidy.
that'd be helpful.
Okay,
All right, well set?
great presentation, Tim.
Thank you.
Nice to see you as always.
Nice to see you. Send some
Same here.
sunny, warm weather up here, though. It's like 34 degrees today. It's our first cold day.
It's supposed to be a heck of a winter. It's supposed to be nor'easter after nor'easter this year, so I don't know.
Uh-oh,
Yeah,
really?
Wonderful.
yeah.
I work at Stratton Mountain in Vermont, so I start this weekend. I go up every weekend. I drive to Vermont. So it's gonna be, we're anticipating some big snow. But I
Are you
think it's
ski
gonna be-
patrol up there?
I run a children's program. I'm a supervisor, ski instructor, PSIA ski instructor. I run I have almost 160 kids, 3 to 7 year olds,
Wow.
and about 40 people that work for me.
Wow.
So they're 24th year. I've been running the program about 18 years. I love it, so I'm a retired school teacher. I was doing what I was teaching, I made that commute every weekend, and then
It's about what, 3
Right.
hours?
yeah, I really like I like the challenge. The kids are just a blast. My kids are seasonal, so Stratton's a pretty affluent mountain, so the people have the homes, they put them in my program, so they're in there for 30 days, 35 days.
Oh,
So you get to know every kid,
Oh, yeah.
so I run it like school, but I have a lot of young people.
generations, yeah.
Yeah, I do.
Oh,
Matter of
that's
fact,
good.
I'm just hiring now a young woman who's getting she's in early child development education program, and she went through the program. As it started with me as a 4-year-old, so I'm just working on hiring her now to
Wow,
help me out.
that's cool.
Yeah, it's really nice, it's really nice. All right, so I won't be playing golf, but
Oh, no more golf. No more golf.
No ball.
that's it. All right, okay, Tim, thanks.
All right, thanks, guys.
Resolution.
Yep, I have the resolution.
We're gonna read the resolution if you want to stay on, Tim.
Okay.
Okay, I'll, everybody has that, right? Okay, resolution number 343, Naugatuck Housing Authority, 2024 budget. Whereas the Naugatuck Housing Authority Board of Commissioners has reviewed the proposed 2024 operating budget for the Naugatuck Housing Authority. Now therefore be resolved that the Board of Commissioners of the Naugatuck Housing Authority do approve the proposed Naugatuck Housing, 2024 budget. All right, voting. I vote yes. Commissioner Taft,
Yes. Yes,
thank you. Commissioner Fidalgo,
Yes.
Commissioner Borbis,
Yes.
Commissioner Sinastri.
Yes.
Okay, beautiful.
Hey, Chris, I sent you the HUD form, the 52574, the budget form that,
I did one too, because I wasn't sure. I
Okay.
didn't see it,
All right.
but.
Okay.
I put my resolution number in there.
and so that you'll need to save that, and it'll be the upload as part of the operating fund software in the HUD system next year.
Yep. Yes,
Okay,
the operating fund challenge every year.
Right.
Oh, it's awful. Something we do once a year in HUD, and it's just,
no, so I guess I think it'll.
and HUD isn't very good with directing you. They just send you guides. 600-page guides and say, look at
Look at
this.
this.
Okay, let me read it
In your spare
for the
time.
next 3 weeks, and then I'll try it again. It's brutal.
Okay.
Alrighty.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Tim.
Tim. Nice seeing you. Have a happy.
Happy holidays.
Thank you. Take care, everybody.
Hi, Tim. Thanks again.
Be healthy.
Do we have anybody on for public comment? Is there-
Let's see. Nope, just dying Carmelita. Any public comment over there?
Public comment is open. Yeah,
Nothing.
very nice. 2:55. Okay, last call for public comment.
Commissioner comment?
I'm gonna close. I'm gonna close.
At 2:56.
We like to do that. Okay,
None.
commissioner comments.
None.
I read commented.
Pardon me?
Oh.
Oh,
She already commented on the,
okay,
Well-
any other commissioner comments? All right. Sounds good to me. Can I have a motion to recess to executive session?
Make a motion. Second the motion?
Beautiful. Okay, so we're gonna go with that.
I'm gonna escape.
2:56. Thanks, Jason,
Okay.
so much.
Thanks,
See you
Jay.
next year.
2:50, 2:56.
2:56.
Actually, I should say 2:57, right? Because
Yeah.
that's too bad.
2:57.
Jay, thank you so much.
Enjoy the holiday.
Have wonderful holidays. Second. round. Sue made the motion and who seconded it? Did you? Oh, thanks. Okay, I'm gonna leave now. I'll leave my phone here because Joan's on.
Okay.
Very computer session, I'm gonna shut down.